Great question. So, see, social service was always there in my mind since my childhood because I always saw my parents helping in their own capacity to people around because serving helps you. See, scientifically, if you look at mostly when people serve others, like women serve family or people serve others, there is a hormone, happiness hormone called serotonin gets secreted.
Right.
And I think that's a big thing. With that, what happens? The whole family is involved. And then Ekal got into, education of the adults. They got into economic development. That how can we make sure that and the people in villages get the respect and they can earn so that they don't have to run towards the cities. And then it
Right.
also added the value education.
So, what do you think that what is the role of youth in this organization? Is it important or is it not?
Of course, it is very important because youth are the future, right? They
Right.
are the future leaders. So, as I told you that when I was young, I had these values of sharing or community service inculcated by my parents. And that's how I ended up, doing a lot of social service. So same thing we are doing with youth.
Hello and welcome to our special show Spotlight. I am Soumya Agrawal and you're watching Ekal Bharat. As we promised earlier that in every episode we'll bring you such personalities that is working for the betterment of our nation. So today I have with me who has been a part of Ekal for more than 2 decades. Welcome to our show, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Ekal Pranam, Namaste. And
Pranam.
thank you for the opportunity to be with you on this show.
So let's start our conversation and get to know more about her. So, ma'am, before starting the conversation, can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. So my name is Prajna Kishty and I'm originally from Pune. Currently, last 25 years, I'm living in Princeton, New Jersey, and I've been Ekal volunteer since 2 decades.
Wow.
So now, currently, I serve as a national youth coordinator, and I feel that is a great privilege, to work
Right.
with youth.
So, you have completed your education from India itself.
Yes, and
So,
I've also done education, further education in US as well. Yeah.
okay. So, what inspired you to leave your country? Like, since you have done your mostly completed your education from India, so what inspired you to move abroad for further education?
So two things. One is, of course, it was to join the family because I had a very successful career in India, but my family wanted to come to US. So we are so much family people, right? So I came, I left everything, and I came here. And then I realized in this country you have an option to choose whatever field you want. They don't have a bar of basic degree. So I always wanted to do something in finance, and because we had come all the way from India to US, generally most of us come with a degree and a dream for opportunities, right? So I
Right.
said, and this company where I'm working now as a financial, retirement planner, they invited me, and I was so surprised that I have an engineering degree, no finance background, and how come they are inviting me, and they offered me that they'll train me. So I went ahead and started that career, and last 24 years now I'm in this career.
Wow.
So then I took all the required education for finance career. I had my MBA, but then I did my American college degree. I did my Wharton Business School certification, and here I am.
So, how did you then, like, since you have such a great educational background, so how did you decide to involve yourself in social service?
Yeah, great question. So, see, social service was always there in my mind since my childhood because I always saw my parents helping in their own capacity to people around, community around, and that's how those sanskaras, those values were inculcated in me. Then in
Right.
college, also in engineering, also we had a group called Prachiti, Appropriate Technology for the society, and I was part of it. And I really wanted to give more time and energy for that. And I did work for a couple of years in that capacity. And then life continued. And so when I came to US, I got introduced to Ekal, which works mostly, child-centric education and holistic development. And first time when I saw, I really liked Ekal model because education is very close to my heart. You can see my
Right.
academic background. And so it was a no-brainer that of course every person needs to get education. And I also realized coming in US that education costs so much money. And back in India, my education was like always on scholarship and like no fees actually, frankly speaking, as compared to what we pay
Yeah.
here. And so I realized that someone, the government, the people, the community paid for my education. So now it's time to give back. So I got, more associated with Ekal. The other thing which, involved me or which inspired me to take more responsibilities and also get associated with more social organizations, community organizations, is when my daughter went to college, and she went to Johns Hopkins, so it was away from home. So,
Okay.
like every empty nest egger, I found myself working long hours. And then I reflected that why am I working long hours? Because my daughter is not home now, because I have only one daughter. So
Right.
then I said, you know what? I researched little more and I said, now I can make, because serving helps you. See, scientifically, if you look at mostly when people serve others, like women serve family or people serve others, there is a hormone, happiness hormone called serotonin gets secreted.
Right. Right. Right.
And so I said, you know what? Now I can take more responsibility and do more community work and serve my family at large. So that is when I decided to take additional responsibilities and keep working with different, uh, in different community projects, and it gives a lot of contentment and satisfaction.
But you mentioned that you came to know about Ekal. So, what was the source? Like, how did you come to know about Ekal?
Right, great question. So, I was invited. So I was working with someone called Jotindra Patel. He was professionally also we were working together, and he was very well connected person. Unfortunately, we lost him last week. So he invited me for a program of Subhashji Chandra, who was then ZTV, owner, and he's highly involved in Ekal. So I went and attended that program in Vain Temple, which was a Gandhi Cultural Center. And then that's where I met Dr. Veena Gandhi and Prakash and Neela Wagmare and Jotindra Patel. They all told me after listening to Subhashji, I got to know more about Ekal. And then Dr. Veena Gandhi also offered an opportunity to work as a volunteer in Ekal. So
Okay.
with her inspiration, with all these Prakashji, Neelaji Wagmare, Jotindra Bhai Patel, I started working as a volunteer in Ekal. And then there were so many people who actually inspired me. Ramesh Bhai Shah. When I met Shamji, I was highly influenced by him. So many personalities, Umesh Shukla. So I can name a lot of them. So
Right. So it's been such a long time since you have been a part of Ekal, like 2 decades, 20 years is a lot, right?
yeah.
So you have seen the organization grow, basically. So what do you think that do you think that Ekal has a good impact in the lives of people? How is Ekal changing lives? What do you think about that?
Ekal is changing life in a holistic way. Like the way I said, that it's not just a technological growth or not just education. So what I liked about is their, five-legged stool or Panchasutri program,
Right.
which involves pretty much everything. Like, first of all, they start with a child-centric approach, that education to a child. And I really value it because my parents are also, they could not get opportunity. My
Right.
mother is 7th grade pass and my father is 10th grade. But they taught all of us, not just the bachelor's, master's degree also. So I realized that education, which is jnana in our, if you see our scriptures, jnana marga is very much respected, right? So
Right.
Ekal actually started with that, with the Vivekananda's principle. And I think that's a big thing. With that, what happens? The whole family is involved. And then Ekal got into, education of the adults. they got into economic development, that how can we make sure that and the people in villages get the respect and they can earn, so that they don't have to run towards the cities. And then it
Right.
also added the value education. It also saw that there is need for arogya, education, and suvidha, like for facilities for good health, because if you
Right.
have good health, that's a great wealth, right? And then you can do everything else. And then women empowerment. You can see that Ekal really walks the talk. You see me and many other women like me. Ekal gives opportunity to, tremendous, like equal opportunity. And in
Right.
every aspects, not just in villages and Ekal schools. You can see in Ekal board, in US, in wherever you go. So I truly like this model. I think it has made a lot of impact. For example, I can say that, long back when I visited Ekal school in, near Shivneri, like Gangadhari and Damsewadi, the schools in Maharashtra.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like there were no Ekal on wheel or computer buses that time. It was in 2008, 2007, like that. But now, if you see, like, last Parinam Kumbha, when I went to, like, we were just going around after the Parinam Kumbha to Naimisharanya and all other areas, sightseeing. So it was not like just sightseeing we were going, and we saw that Ekal on wheel bus. And I was so excited that, it's just like it has happened now, pretty common that in
Right.
villages you can see. And with Ekal on wheel, it's you can immediately see that, notice that yes, there is a Ekal presence here.
Right.
So people, like kids, have now computer education. Look at it. Like, I can tell you more stories of how Ekal is empowered, but let's move forward. I'm sure you have more questions.
So what you just mentioned that you have been to villages, you have seen the schools, you have been to combs, right? So how has the experience been overall? Like since you are seeing that Ekal is bringing such a big change in the lives of people, how has the experience been?
It is amazing. Actually, first time when I went to Parinam Kumbha, I was just amazed, blown away, like, with the impact, because the whole day there were sessions from Karyakartas. There were 40,000 Karyakartas who had come from different corners of the Bharat. And, I heard stories right there sitting and talking to them. So the story which touched me, one of them was, Karyakarta was telling that how the Right to Information Act education has changed their life.
Right.
He said that because of Right to Information Act, we are able to stop all the fraud. We are able to get all the required developmental, help for villagers. And he described it as, it is like a Durgastra for me. It is such a powerful weapon for me that people cannot do any evil stuff. Like,
Mhm.
so then he's told the story that how he got the money, which was basically taken by the village mukhia in his pocket, which was hard-earned money for all the workers. So because of Right to Information Act, so by then he said he had written almost 6,000 letters,
Wow.
for different things. Similar thing, I heard a story from a woman, like Mahila Karyakarta, and she was saying that when they found that there is some sort of a fraud going on with the mukhya or the panch in some of the village work, and they were not getting they were getting some warnings and threats. She had the guts, because of the Right to Information Act, to record that and then take it to the police station and got the justice. So
Okay.
it was so empowering to see that all these people, how Ekal educated them, gave them the right training, and that made an impact, a tremendous impact,
Right, that's right. Ekal is surely making a huge impact.
huge impact.
Exactly.
We,
So,
you can
yeah.
see, like, now when you go, you can also see all these, gramothans, like gramothan resource centers. And you can see that there are tailoring centers, which are empowering women. And so like when you visit Wada or when you visit Karanjo, you realize the amount of impact Ekal does holistically.
That's right. So you have also opened about, I think, 5 chapters in USA, right? So how has was it difficult? Did you have to face any challenges to, open 5 chapters there itself? How has that experience been? Any interesting
So,
stories you'd like to share from that phase of your life?
yeah, yeah. So actually, it was pretty interesting because that time I was working, with jointly with Dilip Ji Kotekar, and he has been an amazing karyakarta again. And we both were working towards the event committee work. So our job used to get the artists from India, and then make sure we had many chapters. So we used to offer, the fundraising programs. So we had a very good model that we used to have a ZTV ad and all that. So because of the ad of all these artists, we used to get phone calls from people that can we get this artist? We are ready to pay. And then we used to talk to them, let them know about Ekal model, and then give them it all about how you talk to them. And also Ekal has such a beautiful model, such a simple model to follow that when we used to talk, we had 2, 3, 4, conversations and meetings. And when we made it very easy for them that you get a team, will support you with everything. You can get a program free if you open an Ekal chapter. And of course, after knowing Ekal's mission, half the work was getting done. So people were basically influenced and they were bought into. Now, yes, maintaining and making sure that there are logistic challenges. That if it's a new place and a program is happening, then making sure that they have like the flights in time, because some places are remote. Like Salt Lake City, when we had a chapter, it was an amazing because it is in the middle of nowhere. And so first time, we offered all the help over the phone, over the Zoom. And then second year, Surejji and Umaji back then in Bay Area, they visited and they made sure that they are given all the know-how and everything. But otherwise, a lot of times I'll tell you, Bakersfield, Fayetteville, some of the chapters we opened, doctors like physicians are also highly motivated. These are the 2 chapters run by physicians. So it becomes very easy because they understand the importance of education. And as I said, Ekal model is very transparent, very easy to follow. So it was not like too much of a challenge convincing people, but maintaining the chapters eventually becomes, like you have to make
Yeah,
sure
that
that.
is my next question. How do you maintain transparency? Like, if someone is donating or if someone is being a part of Ekal, how do you make sure that they are satisfied with the work Ekal is doing by the amount they are donating? How do you maintain the transparency level?
Right. So it takes a village to take care of all these things. So Ekal again has a great office, like the good office staff at Houston, and then all the Ekal volunteers all over the US and India, because see the work happens in India. So the Bharat mein jo like whoever karyakartas are there, they in turn come and share the details. Like I remember that Shamji, Bagraji, like so many Nareshji Jain. They every year they come, Pradeepji. They come and they share the details. And every year annual meeting, we have people from India, from Bharat, come and explain about what's going on, what is the progress. In the annual fundraising event also, we give like half an hour for giving a complete presentation, that
Okay.
how many schools with your support Ekal is running, what's happening on Arogya front, what's happening on tailoring. So we give them a complete update. At the same time, as I said, because the Houston office is also very efficient, if there is any inquiry, we make sure that we hand over it to them, and all the donors get actually a letter with the the school information. They can go online and log in.
How often do they get that letter?
Once in a year they get.
Once in a year. So,
Yeah.
like you said that like annual functions are organized or they get a letter once a year. But what if they have to, I mean, out of nowhere they just want to know that how the school is doing in suppose like 3 to 6 months, then what is the medium of communication there?
Right. So see, at least in US, I know that we as a donor get a letter along with a school where your money is donated, and then you have a username and a login ID. So we can log in and we can see the pictures of the school. Then we are given the name of the teacher, Acharya, and then if we want, we can do further correspondence.
Okay.
And then locally also in Bharat, there are so many karyakartas. So we have a very good system to support and give all this information. People can actually go and do the Vanayatra also.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I'll tell you, with the youth participation, we have started doing virtual Vanayatras.
Okay. So how
So,
does that work?
so that one where we need, of course, support from Karyakartas from India. But let's say you want to see the village near Vada, or you want to see what's happening in the GRC, which is Gramothan Center in Vada. Then we have people in Vada who will get on the Zoom, and then of course there has to be some groundwork done, and then we create here a Zoom line, and then like how we are connecting now, we have a live demonstration of everything from tailoring center to Ekal on wheel to the
Oh
organic
wow.
farming. So people get to see sitting in US, all the way 16 hours by flight, sitting here, and then we are able to see live there.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then what happens, people get to see, my god, this is so much of impact, they get inspired. And those are the sessions we keep in the annual meetings also, annual gatherings also.
Okay. So you just mentioned youth right now, that youth are helping you for that virtual Van Yatra. So what do you think that what is the role of youth in this organization? Is it important or is it not?
Of course it is very important, because youth are the future, right? They
Right.
are the future leaders. So, as I told you, that when I was young, I had these values of sharing or community service inculcated by my parents. And that's how I ended up, doing a lot of social service. So, same thing we are doing with youth.
But
Youth,
I think youth nowadays don't have that, like you said, that you have the feeling of, giving back to the society. What you received, you wanted to give back. But I think youth nowadays don't have that feeling inculcated in them. Like it's not since the childhood. So,
so again, I'll tell you the way it happens in US, and we can inculcate the same in India. We just need a direction, because youth have a lot of energy. So I'll give you some examples. In US, community service is always considered, very good. It actually works very well for them on their college admission apps. They are given credits, and it is respected also. And Ekal also does, like, here we have a Presidential Service Volunteer Service Award. So PVSA award we call it as, which is considered a very prestigious award in US. So some organizations are given authority to go ahead and facilitate this award or sponsor this award. So Ekal is actually one of those organizations which is authorized to sponsor youth for PVSA award. So we
okay.
do, that is one very good example, that kids come, and then once they understand that what Ekal is doing, I'll tell you, they go out of the way to support. One simple example I'll give you. During pandemic, two youth they did tremendous job. One of them, his name is Ayan Sanjanwala. He was like I think in 11th grade that time, and he saw that there is a like so many villages and so many places, Bharat needs oxygen cylinders, which was very difficult at that time. It was costing money, and he wanted to provide it. So he reached out to many organizations in US to get the donations. And
Okay.
he came across Heart to Heart Foundation, which asked him that we will give you money, but get us an organization which can give us a transparent field report on weekly basis or frequently, so we know that where the money is being used, and it's being used for an authentic use. And he reached out to Ekal, And of course, Ekal helped him to get all the information. You know how much money this youth could get from the organization for Ekal?
How much? No idea.
$45,000.
Oh my God. Wow.
One inspired youth can do so much work.
Right.
And on other hand, there's Shweta from Ohio. She was also a high school senior, and she was listening stories from her aunt about how the workers from villages are being sent back to their home from cities, and they don't have any work, and how will they survive. And so she said, I want to raise money for skill training. See, Ekal is so good in skill training. So she got inspired and she just ran the workshops for PSAT or SAT classes. With she and her friend, they raised more than $6,000.
Wow.
So this is within a span of, 3-4 months. So you
Right.
see the power of youth.
Yeah.
Our job is to inspire them.
Right.
And the same example which I gave you, that one of the 4 happiness hormones is serotonin, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't look at age. It doesn't say that I'm going to only secrete for older people and not younger.
Yeah.
So the moment you give them reward and give them a little taste of how it is to serve others, they feel so good. All these youth who come for the Ekal community service, when they hear these stories, they understand that in order to support someone in need, you don't have to grow up and do a job and make money. You can do it now.
Right.
Where there is will, there is way.
Wait, exactly. So it is true that after youth gets inspired, they can move mountains. That is what you're trying to say, yeah.
Yes, and same thing is true for India also. Like when our Vanvasi Kalakars came here in US. This was, I think, 3, 4, 5 years ago, 2018. And, people like Priya, I remember one of the girls, who was from Assam or Arunachal, somewhere that part of the India. She had never boarded a train. And here this girl was trained by Ekal to perform on stage. And they did, programs across US. And she was very confidently talking in front of mob of 1,000, 800, 400 people. Imagine the amount of empowerment she got. And when her videos were seen by all, Ekal village students, how much empowerment they must have got, right?
Exactly.
That someone like me can get opportunity and go to US and then speak in front of 1,000 people. Very empowering, even that simple act, So Ekal and youth, no matter where they are, they have a lot of opportunities to. We just need to inspire them, actually. That's
Right.
what I would say.
Right.
We need to give them a right tool, inspire them, and then youth can do wonders.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. And now I understood that youth will play a very important role in the uplifting of the nation, I think, right?
Yes.
That's
Not just the
right.
nation, I would say the planet.
The
Because
planet.
they are the
Yeah.
ones who are going to continue.
That's it, I think, for today. Thank you so much for joining us today, ma'am. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you. Ekal Pranam to all.
Thank you, Pranav. So that's all for today. Stay tuned with us because we'll bring you more such personalities every Saturday. Till then, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Take care and I'll meet you next week. Thank you.